Welcome back. We are answering your questions about voting in election 2020 with Guilford County Board of Elections Director Charlie Collicutt. Remember, you can text your questions right there at the bottom of your screen. All right, Charlie, they're asking, will there be early voting at the polls? If I voted 4 years ago, do I need to register to vote again in November?
Yeah, in early voting or election day or anything, if you were registered to vote 4 years ago and nothing's changed, you're at the same address, you're fine. You don't need to re-register to vote. If you left the county and registered somewhere else or changed addresses removed, then yeah, we need that address update in advance to make it easier on you, but you can change that at the polls if you want to.
Someone's asking, are we going to need to show our IDs this election when we go vote?
No, most voters won't. We're currently under a court order where we're not implementing any of the photo ID requirement that was just passed into law. But again, that's due to a court order. So the answer today is no, but that could change.
We're getting a lot of questions about how many people will be allowed in the voting place at one time.
Right. That's a good question. It's one of those, it depends. It depends. You know, we have some polling places that are small fellowship halls within a church, and then we have some polling places that are 2 and 3 basketball courts side by side. So it really depends. And we'll be doing things like we'll try to get the lines snaked inside if we can, or down a hall if we can. We don't want voters outside if we don't have to. But we are going to limit how many voters can be in the enclosure, but I still think we'll get you in the building.
Someone asked, I received an absentee voting request form in the mail, but I didn't request it. Can I use this to request a voting form by mail?
Yeah, there's a lot of groups that are doing this right now, and you can use it as long as it wasn't pre-filled out by somebody at that organization. If it's just a completely blank request form, then yes, you can use that.
All right, someone's asking, what happens if you get COVID after early voting has ended, but you still want to vote? Will you be able to vote?
Yeah, in that circumstance, after early voting is ended, so you're talking about the Saturday before the election, we still have election day. And what we do have is an option called curbside voting, where if due to disability or age, with some type of underlying condition, you cannot enter the polling place, which certainly being diagnosed with COVID would count. You can still come to the polls, and we can do the voting transaction from your car window.
Someone said, I read that if you want to drop off your absentee ballot at an early voting site, that you still need to wait in line. Is that correct?
No, and if you are going to vote, if you're dropping a relative's vote off or your son or daughter or spouse, and you're also there to vote, yeah, you're going to have to wait in line. But if you are just dropping off a ballot, we're going to work out a way using signage to get you to the point where you can just drop that off and leave. We don't want anybody in the polling place longer than they need to be.
Right. Someone's saying, did your office mail unsolicited applications for absentee voting? Not you, but the other third parties.
Right. We're not sending out unsolicited anything, whether it's the ballot or the request forms. We've got them available on our website. People call and ask for one, and we can get them for you. We can hand them out, but we're not mailing forms.
Mm-hmm. All right. Someone is asking, is there any possibility for any type of online voting this year?
We don't have online voting in North Carolina. I don't see that on the horizon for us in North Carolina anytime soon. We're still relying on the polling place method here.
All right, let's take a look really quickly at some of the election dates that people need to keep in mind so that they don't get stuck. Voter registration deadline is October the 9th. Early voting starts October the 15th. And the last day to get your absentee ballot all the way down at the bottom, and that is October 27th. And real quickly, because this is our last wrap-up time, let people know why they really need to be mindful about doing it ahead of time and not waiting till the last minute, especially if they're using all mail-in.
Right. Okay. So if you're voting by mail, there's a lot to do here. We've got to deal with a request, mail you a ballot, and then you have to mail or drop the ballot off. Don't wait till the last minute. Under the best circumstances, sometimes the mail can take longer than what we would like. So the deadline to request is October 27th. Do it ahead of time. That's okay. You can request today. As soon as you get that ballot, fill it out, sign it, get your witness, and mail it back in or drop it off. If things are received after election day, we've got to make sure they have a postmark they're received shortly after the election, and if not, that ballot might not count.
Gotcha. Okay, we want to make sure that your vote counts. And remember, you do have to request a ballot before you can ever get a ballot, and that is going to take some time. Thank you so much, Charlie, for joining us. We so appreciate it. We covered a whole lot this evening. All the resources and links that we mentioned about how to request a ballot and many of the subjects that we talked about are in the Two Wants to Know section right now, as well as the segments that we just did with Charlie. So maybe you just joined us. They're going to be posted there and on our YouTube page as well.